In this session, we are going to be looking at how we can improve a diary entry. And we're going to be doing that by looking at the language that you can use and the grammatical features you can include into these diary entries. But before we start, let's look back at our last session and see how much we can remember about the features of a diary entry with a quick quiz. You're going to be shown some questions and decide if you think the answer is yes or the answer is no. So our first question is, are diaries usually written in the first person? Yes or no? Make your choice. And the answer to this question is yes, they are. Diarists write about themselves, so they write in first person, using words like I, me, and mine. Our next question is a diary a type of fictional story? Do you think yes, or do you think no? Make your choice. And the answer is no. It isn't. A diary entry is a recount based on true events that have taken place. Next we're asking, do diaries only give the facts of an event that has happened? Do diaries only give the facts of an event that have happened? Do you think yes, or do you think no? Make your choice. And the answer to this is no, they don't. They give the author's opinions and feelings about these events as well. Next we're being asked, do diaries have an informal style and tone? Do you think yes or no? And the answer is yes, they do. They're usually informal and chatty because you're writing for yourself, not for an audience. Our next question is, do diary entries have to be chronological? Do you think this is yes or a no? And our answer is no, they don't. Although most diaries are written chronologically, there's no real rules, so you can make the decision of how you're going to write it yourself. Now in this session we're going to be taking a look at Dark is Fun, Chapter 3 of The Owl Who Was Afraid of the Dark, and using this as the basis for the diary entry that I'm going to try and write. So before we look at this, can you remember what happened in this chapter and who Plop met? Pause the video, have a little think, maybe find someone you can tell quickly what happened in this chapter, and come and join me when you're ready. Well, if you remember in this chapter, Dark is Fun, Plop met a Boy Scout who was busy sitting by the campfire keeping an eye on it while everyone else was playing, and was explaining to Plop that dark is fun because you can do things such as playing games that become far more exciting when the stars have come out. So let's see what would happen if Plop had written his version of events in his diary. So, dear diary, today was fun. I went to the ground and met a Boy Scout. He told me that dark is fun. The Boy Scout told me about games we play in the dark. Then we had a campfire. I ate a potato. I went back to my branch. I still don't like the dark. Love, Plop. So what do you think of my attempt? Have a little bit of a think about whether I've included all those features we've looked at. Let's take a look at that first sentence. Today was fun. It seems there's lots of ways that I could make my diary entry better. So how do you think I could improve this? How could I change this sentence to make it more interesting? In this instance, I could choose a better adjective to replace the word fun. Can you think of any other ways to replace this word? Which words do you think Plop might say? Well, you might say it was amazing, fantastic, super, or exciting. Which of those words do you think is going to be best to replace fun with? So I've decided to swap it with exciting, so rather than starting with today was fun, we've now got today was exciting. But we could also add an adverb to modify or change this adjective. So we could add an extra word in front of it. Let's have a look at some examples of these. We can have today was so exciting, really exciting, very exciting, extremely exciting, or even tremendously exciting. So you can see with these that those adverbs are modifying or changing the verb, adjective, or other adverbs. They give more information about how, when, where, why, how often, or how much. So in this case, we're thinking about how much fun or how much excitement was happening on this day. So an example would be asking how exciting was today, and we could reply with today was really exciting or today was so exciting. Or we could be asking how did Plop fly to the ground? We could say Plop flew quickly to the ground. Softly Plop flew to the ground. So these words are giving us more detail and more precision in our sentences. So now we've changed that first sentence. I think it's far more effective. Today was so exciting. But what do we think we could do to improve the rest of the paragraph? Let's have a look at our next sentence. I went down to the ground and met a Boy Scout. He told me that the dark is fun. How do you think we could improve this? Pause the video and have a little bit of a think about this, and come and join me when you're ready to share your ideas. Well, we could begin by looking at our verb. So we could change went to something far more descriptive, maybe even add an adverb into this. So how do you think that Plop went? We could then add some more information explaining why Plop did that. So why did he go to the ground? So let's take a look at the opening to this diary entry now we've made those changes. So today was so exciting. I flew speedily to the ground because I saw a bonfire and thought there were going to be more fireworks. And next we can start thinking about how we can describe the Boy Scout to make that description slightly more precise. So now we've added, I met a really kind Boy Scout who thought I was a roly-poly pudding. Can you believe that? And then in our original version we got, he told me that dark is fun. So how might Plop have felt about this? What is his opinion? Let's see how we can change this. So now we've added on that little bit of extra detail. So he told me that dark is fun, but I disagree. Dark is terrifying. So before we go off and start improving our draft diary entry, I want us to recap on some of the ways that we can do this. We can choose interesting vocabulary, so we can change those boring words like said or went for far more exciting synonyms. A synonym is one of those words or phrases that means the same or nearly the same as another word, so we could have said changed to declared, or went changed to stumbled. We can add adverbs to modify those adjectives, verbs, or other adverbs, and these can add further information about how, when, where, why, how often, or how much something happened with an adverb. So we could be saying things like he exclaimed, and change that to he exclaimed grumpily. He left his branch can change to suddenly he left his branch. He watched the creeping darkness can become he warily watched the creeping darkness. We can be using conjunctions to add two sentences together when we're having those coordinating conjunctions to make two equally sized clauses added together. So I left my branch, I flew to the ground can become I left my branch and flew to the ground. Or we can use subordinating conjunctions to add further information. So I left my branch can become I left my branch because I wanted to see what was going on. We can add extra details about how Plop felt, so opinions and feelings are important features of a diary entry. You need to add information about how Plop was feeling at different points and what he thought about what had happened during that day. We can add some variety by using different sentence starters. This makes a diary entry far more interesting to read. So try starting a sentence in some different ways. We could begin with an adverb, one of those ly words, so he peeped out of his nest hole, change to cautiously. He peeped out of the nest hole. We could begin with an ing verb. Plop decided to go exploring with the cat. Feeling brave. Plop decided to go exploring with a cat. We could use a past tense verb. The old lady stared at Plop in amazement becomes stunned, comma. The old lady stared at Plop in amazement. We could use a simile. Plop landed at the Boy Scout's feet becomes like a roly-poly pudding, comma. Plop landed at the Boy Scout's feet. And we could begin with where, a prepositional phrase. Plop hid from the scary rustling sound behind the lady's legs, comma. Plop hid from the scary rustling sound. We could add in some exclamations. Plop uses these in his diary entries. Exclamations, or interjections as sometimes they're called, can help add colour to a diary entry and help express strong emotions. They're usually used in speech and in informal writing. Exclamations are usually punctuated with one of those exclamation marks. So we could have words like wow! Exclamation mark, how amazing! Exclamation mark, ooh! Exclamation mark, whoops! Exclamation mark, ow! Exclamation mark, that hurt! Exclamation mark. Have a little explore with those and see whether you can amplify or make stronger those emotions. So before we go off for our own activity, let's just have a quick look at this. This is what Plop actually wrote for the first part of his diary. Which of these features that we just looked at can you spot? Today was super. I flew clumsily down to the ground because I was really excited to see more fireworks. That was when I thought the fire was a bonfire and not a campfire. I know better now. Anyway, when I landed I met a Boy Scout who thought I was a roly-poly pudding at first. How silly. Obviously I'm a barn owl. The Boy Scout told me that dark was fun because of all the games we can play. I don't think I'd like to go into the dark, scary woods at night, but they seem to enjoy it. So think about those different features and see what you can spot in this extract from Plop's diary entry. So now we've looked at how we can improve our writing by looking at the language we use and the grammatical features. Now it's time for you to improve some diary entries of our own. We're going to begin by looking at a diary entry that's already written. The Boy Scout told me about the games they play in the dark. When we sat around the campfire, I ate a potato. And your job is to rewrite this section of the diary entry by adding in the features that you can see. Once you've managed to do that, what I'd like you to do is then see whether you can continue that diary entry to make it as interesting and detailed as you think needed, and retell the rest of our Dark is Fun chapter, remembering all those different features that we've looked at. So good luck with this one, and I look forward to seeing and reading your diary entries.